Some dreams in football end with a poor decision, others with fading ability. But Jack Wilshere's story is different. By 19, he was Arsenal's hope, PFA Young Player of the Year, and the youngest Englishman to score in the Champions League. His skill was never in doubt, only his body was. When relentless injuries forced him out at 30, it was not talent that failed. Why does technical brilliance lose to physical fragility at the very top? At Arsenal's Hale End Academy, coaches watched a teenager who played with the calm of a veteran and the fearless daring of someone who seemed to know no fear. Jack Wilshere's control in tight spaces, his quick turns, and his willingness to demand the ball set him apart even among the club's most promising prospects. At 16 years and 256 days, he was already stepping onto the pitch in a Premier League match against Blackburn, making him the youngest league debutant in Arsenal's long history. There was no gentle easing in. Wilshere was trusted from the start, not just as a future project, but as someone who could change games immediately. In training, he took on seasoned internationals without hesitation. His passes split defensive lines, and his first touch under pressure belonged to a player far older. Coaches described him as comfortable beyond his age, a natural fit for a modern midfield built on movement, vision, and technical bravery. As the season from 2010 to 2011 unfolded, Wilshere's influence grew. He made 49 appearances that year, dictating play in midfield and earning the PFA Young Player of the Year award at just 19. That same season, his peers voted him into the Premier League Team of the Year, a rare honor for someone so young. Wilshere's rise was not just about promise, it was about presence. He belonged, and everyone around him could see it. The expectation was simple. Arsenal had found a midfielder to build around for the next decade. Nights under the floodlights brought a different kind of test. In the Champions League, Wilshere did not just hold his own, he set new standards. Against Marseille, he found the net after just 29 seconds, a goal that remains the fastest ever scored by an English player in the competition. That moment was not a fluke. It was a statement, delivered on a stage where every touch is measured and every mistake magnified. Wilshere's technique and nerve shone brightest when the pressure was highest. In February 2011, Barcelona arrived at the Emirates with a midfield built to control anyone. Yet Wilshere, still a teenager, ran the show. He completed 60 of 67 passes, won back possession 7 times, and played with a maturity that left seasoned internationals chasing shadows. Cesc Fabregas called his performance a masterclass. The press called him generational. Arsenal's manager, Arsene Wenger, saw more than talent. He saw a leader. Wenger told reporters that Jack was certainly the best known, the leader of this group, making it clear that Wilshere was not just part of Arsenal's future, he was meant to shape it. These were not cameos or flashes of promise. Wilshere was central to Arsenal's plans, trusted to steer the team through the biggest nights in Europe. Every game at this level was proof. The promise had become delivery. Summer 2011 brought a silence to Wilshere's career that no one expected. After a season spent at the heart of Arsenal's midfield, he began to feel a dull ache in his right foot. At first, it seemed like the kind of pain every footballer learns to ignore. But the discomfort did not fade. Scans revealed a stress fracture in the navicular bone, a small, crucial piece of the midfoot notorious among doctors for its slow healing and poor blood flow. Surgery was required. 2 screws were inserted to hold the bone together, and Wilshere's boots were swapped for a protective cast. For a player who had never waited for permission to play, the new reality was brutal. Training was replaced by rehabilitation. His world shrank to the inside of the treatment room, where progress was measured in tentative steps, not tackles or passes. Days blurred into weeks, then months. The season unfolded without him. Arsenal's midfield moved on, and the England squad for Euro 2012 was named with Wilshere's place left empty. This was not the kind of setback that could be shaken off. The injury forced Wilshere to watch from the sidelines as his teammates fought for points and trophies. The game continued, but he could only observe. For the first time, his body had set a boundary his talent could not cross. The sense of invincibility that carried him from academy pitches to Champions League nights was gone, replaced by a question that would haunt the rest of his career. Would he ever be the same again? By the time Wilshere's right foot had healed, the rhythm of his career had changed. The days of seamless development gave way to cycles of rehabilitation and adaptation. Arsenal's staff, once focused on unlocking his potential, now shifted to preserving what remained. Over the next decade, Wilshere suffered more than 10 major injuries, an accumulation that forced a fundamental rethink in how he was managed. Specialists built bespoke conditioning programs around his vulnerabilities. Training loads were tightly monitored, with GPS trackers charting every sprint and deceleration. Recovery protocols became as important as tactical preparation. Instead of pushing for new levels, the priority was to avoid setbacks. On some days, Wilshere would be held out of full training altogether, working instead with physios on strength and stability. The club's medical team adjusted his match minutes and sometimes his position, moving him deeper in midfield to limit high-impact challenges and explosive running. This was a shift from player development to player preservation. The aim was no longer to maximize potential, but to protect availability. Even contract negotiations reflected this reality, with fitness clauses and appearance-based incentives replacing promises of long-term centrality. Each return to the pitch was a minor victory, but every comeback carried the risk of another interruption. Coaches and sports scientists weighed the benefits of his technical brilliance against the likelihood of another absence. Wilshere's value became a question of reliability as much as skill. In elite football, the ability to be selected week after week is its own currency. For Wilshere, every session was a negotiation between ambition and caution, with the boundaries set not by talent, but by the body's limits. This was one career. Bournemouth offered a different kind of opportunity, one measured in weeks and appearances, not years and legacy. Eddie Howe saw what Wilshere could bring, handing him a short-term loan for the 2016 to 2017 season. 17 times, Wilshere's name appeared on the team sheet. Each match carried the same question: would his body hold out long enough for his talent to make a difference? The faith was real, but always conditional. Bournemouth hoped for influence, but planned for absence. Training sessions were managed carefully, minutes rationed, expectations set with a wary optimism. Wilshere's ability was never in doubt. What clubs questioned, quietly and more often, was whether he could be counted on week after week. For a player once seen as a foundation, this was a new reality, one where belief arrived with limits and every chance felt temporary. In Denmark, the cold felt sharper and the crowds were smaller, but Jack Wilshere still believed there was something left to give. AGF. Aarhus offered a new start far from the spotlight of London, yet the same questions followed him onto the pitch. Each match became a test of what his body could withstand, not what his mind could imagine. The pain in his ankles and calves never truly faded. In July 2022, at just 30 years old, Wilshere announced his retirement. The number that lingered was 197 Arsenal appearances, each one a memory of what he could do when fit. There was no long goodbye, no gentle winding down. The decision was not about fading form or lost ambition, but about a body that could no longer carry the weight of the dream. For Wilshere, football ended not with a choice, but with a limit he could not push past. In today's game, the demand for relentless resilience only grows. Wilshere's story is a reminder: brilliance alone no longer guarantees survival at the top. For every rising star, the body is both gift and gatekeeper. Share your thoughts about talent and risk in modern football. This was one career,